Hey friends, Laura here with Lalo Yoga and Wellness. Welcome to your yoga session today. Today's practice is going to focus on grief. I know that's a subject we like to avoid a lot of times, but unfortunately, loss is something that we all experience at some point or other. That loss could be the loss of a parent or a sibling, maybe a marriage, a child, your pet, anything that is really causing you some true grief is something that you want to be gentle with yourself for and take a little extra care of yourself about. So that's what we're going to be doing today. You may want to have some extra things to help you feel comfortable. I brought in my bolster and a blanket even because I want to feel warm and cozy and nurtured. So gather the things that you feel like you may wish to use and let's get started. Go ahead and find a seated position on the mat, whatever you feel comfortable with, and let yourself start to get a little bit grounded in your space. It might even help, since we are really trying to protect and nurture our heart, to bring your hands to your heart center or maybe your heart in your belly. Whatever feels good to you that's kind of nurturing and feels caring toward yourself. We just take a few moments to drop into our body. It's not unusual to be carrying a little bit of extra tension in your muscles when you're feeling stress and particularly grief. So give yourself a moment to start to pay attention to those feelings in your body. Maybe close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Maybe bringing your hands to your heart if you didn't before. Now might be the time. And just letting yourself feel how those muscles are feeling. Maybe just noticing what's coming up for you. Feeling sadness or grief over loss or even confusion is totally normal. So it's okay to take notice of those things, take away from it whatever's going to be useful for you. We start to find our breath, letting it slow down a little bit. Deepen the breath. Sometimes we find ourselves in that shallow upper chest breath when we're feeling tense or sad. So take a moment to really let your lungs fill, let your chest expand. Feel a little bit of positivity coming into your body as you breathe in, feeling your own aliveness right now. As you breathe out, maybe letting a little bit of that tension drop away from your shoulders. On your next inhale, let's just take a big stretch together, reaching the hands out and up, lacing the fingers. Sometimes we're really letting so much tension build up in our shoulders and in our body, we forget to open it up. And exhale. Those hands come right down to your legs, maybe even just giving your legs a little bit of a rub. And feeling that sensation to help bring you back to your body. Take another deep breath up this time. drop to the floor. Your left hand reaching overhead. Maybe you look toward the arm, maybe straight ahead, maybe down to your hand. And focus on lifting your ribs up and away from your hips. Inhale, reaching high. Exhale, let's take that little stretch over to the other side. Again, keeping the hips level here. Finding your breath. Feeling your rib cage expand as you breathe in. Inhale, reaching both hands high once again. Exhale. Let those hands come down to the floor. Bring your legs behind you now. And taking your knees out to the edges of your mat, your big toes come together. We're about to move into a child's pose. You can reach your fingertips out towards the top of your mat, or stack your fists under your forehead, or even drape your arms alongside the body. Maybe even bringing your bolster in and letting your head rest on that bolster. While you're here, consider rocking the head side to side. Giving your forehead just a little bit of a massage, loosening up the neck. Then we find some stillness and breathe into that stillness. Allow gravity to release your shoulders. And then we're going to bring the hands right underneath the shoulders, press up. Bring those knees side by side so they're parallel to each other. Walk the hands out to come into your tabletop position. Let's take those fingers out nice and wide so you can see the mat between your fingers. Lengthen out through your spine. Knees right underneath the hips. And let your hips just drift a little bit to the left and take your gaze over your right shoulder toward your ankle. And then we come back to the center. Let those hips drift to the right. Take a look over your shoulder to the left ankle. And then come back to the center. Continue this movement, making it fluid. And just feel your spine loosening up a little bit as you roll through that movement a few more times, going at your own pace, still being gentle with yourself, making the movement just as big as you feel comfortable with. And then we start to come to the center and return to our tabletop position. Inhale, lifting your gaze, dropping your belly, lifting your hips, cow pose. Exhale, scoop the hips, round the spine, tuck the chin, cat pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And returning to your tabletop position. Anytime you want, you can bring your hands onto your knuckles, give your wrists a little bit of a break if that feels better for you, or even use your blocks to shift your weight back a little bit and give your wrists a little bit of a break that way. Your choice where you want to go with that. Let's inhale and lift up through the left leg. Spread your toes out nice and wide, find some space. And then we lower the toes to the ground and gently rock front to back. Let it roll through your foot, roll through your toes, all the while keeping space all along your neck. And we pause here in the center, pulling your left knee in towards your rib cage. Step it between your hands or your blocks. One hand at a time on that front thigh, lifting the body up. Maybe we bring the hands here to heart center. And then we start to lean into it, checking that left knee. Let's keep it behind the toes. Opening up a little bit more through those hips. They might be feeling a bit tight. We like to call the hips the emotional junk drawer. It's a place where we store a lot of tension that we just don't know what to do with it. So we end up with tight hips, so we want to let that go. If it feels good, maybe you take that deep breath up, lace the fingers again, take a big stretch. Exhale. Let's bring the hands back down to frame your left foot, coming back into tabletop, taking one round of cow and cat. Returning to your tabletop, this time take a deep breath and lift up here through your right leg and let the right toes come down to the ground and find that gentle rock forward and back. Really feel it waving through your foot like a big ocean wave. Releasing some of that tight muscle that might be built up there. And then we find some stillness. Pulling that right knee into the chest, round the spine slightly, stepping the foot between the hands, one hand at a time, walking up to the thigh, and leaning in. Let your hips open up. Check into your neck and your shoulders here. Release it if they're starting to creep up towards your ears. Again, if it feels good, take that deep breath up, lacing the fingers, flipping them around, finding a little more open heart and a nice stretch. Exhale, let's let the hands come right back down. Come back to your tabletop. And finding cow and cat. Returning once again to table, let's set the hips back toward the heels, coming into child's pose. Feel free to take this into wide child's pose if that's more comfortable for you. Taking the knees wider, that's totally up to you. I'm going to crawl those fingers out or stack the fists. Giving yourself one more breath. Let the elbows come to the floor. Start to shift yourself forward, extend the legs out, hips all the way down to the ground. And maybe you want to use a bolster. Maybe you want to stack your hand right under your forehead. Reverse corpse. Turning your head to the left, resting again either on your bolster or perhaps a block. Bend your left leg and reach around with your left hand. Find that foot. Just give it a gentle hug towards your backside. And then we release that foot. Turn your head to the other side. Bending the right leg. Reach back with the right hand. Gently pulling that leg towards your back side. You might use a towel or a yoga strap wrapped around your foot or the front of your shin to give you a little extra length in your arm if you feel like you want that. Let's release that right leg. Bringing both hands right underneath your shoulders, press up into your tabletop. Start to walk your hands toward your body. Let's take that deep breath out, lacing the fingers, opening up. Exhale, we're going to bring our hands down to the right side, our feet over to the left, and just come into a seated position. Hug the knees in a little bit closer, wrapping your hands around the shins, and bring the forehead to your knees for siesta. Just give yourself a big hug right here. Leaning into your emotions. Noticing what's coming up. Not trying to judge it or change it. Just accepting what is. You start to roll up through the spine, bring that head up last. Hands come down here next to your sides, and we're just going to roll it all the way back. Hugging the knees into the chest. Taking a deep breath. Deep enough to fill the belly and push your legs away from you. And then as we draw the knees in closer, we exhale, push all that breath out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause if possible, just for a second, and then exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Insert that pause if possible. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let your knees drift into a more neutral position and just begin to rock them side to side, letting the floor hold you and massage your back. Maybe finding that little circle with the knees. Around the other way. And we come right back to the center. Allowing your feet to come down to the mat right at the edges. And then the knees just fall together in the center. Once again, bringing maybe one hand to the belly, one to the chest. Resting wherever feels comfortable for you in our restorative pose. As we start to move into our Shavasana, make yourself as comfortable as you would like. That might mean using your bolster underneath your legs, maybe a blanket so you feel warm and comfy. You might even be rolling onto your side if that feels more nurturing for you. You decide. We allow ourselves to just soften into the moment. Coming back to the breath. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Find that pause if possible. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4. Pause. Exhale 6. Pause. Continue this cycle of breath for 10 full inhale and exhale. You can feel free to stay here in this relaxed Shavasana for as long as you would like. Whenever you feel ready, gradually waking up your hands and feet and slowly making your way back to a seated position. Letting your chin drop toward the chest, gently rolling the chin to one side and then the other. And then we return to the center. Taking a deep breath out and up together. Exhale, bringing those hands to heart center. May you have peace in your thoughts, kindness in your words, and hope in your hearts. From my heart to yours, namaste. I hope today's practice has been helpful for you. I know I lost my father recently, and it's really helped me to be able to spend some time being more nurturing toward myself and making sure I'm taking care of myself. Leaning into those emotions that can be very complicated and difficult to sort out. And I feel like it's better for me, maybe if you feel the same, to take some time to allow myself to sort through those emotions instead of trying to ignore them or just power through. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, drink some water, and I hope that this is something that you would like to share with other people that you know might be going through a loss right now. Please be sure to subscribe, like, share, comment, all that stuff, and that will allow me to continue to bring more videos to you.